Hi, my name is David Knight, and welcome to those amazing Psalms. Psalm 127, a psalm for Labor Day. Psalm 127 is a short but delightful song to help you celebrate Labor Day. It talks about labor and toil, rising early and staying up late in a highly competitive world, but it puts all that in a context that gives dignity and significance to our work. It begins with, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain." The most important fact about work is that God Himself is a worker, a planner, a builder, a guardian. The opening chapter of the Bible is a journal of God's work, God's creative, purposeful, down to earth, and ongoing work. The fact that God is a worker dignifies the whole concept of work. In pagan myths, humans were created to serve as slaves to relieve the gods of unpleasant toil. But the Bible sees our work as an invitation into partnership with God in the building of God's world and our world. Because we take God and God's work seriously, we find purpose in our work as a response to God's initiative and example. Work is good because it participates in what God has done and continues to do in the larger world, building, guarding, and restoring. This song recognizes the human need to build houses and guard cities, providing shelter and security, and all the array of occupational work involved in those and related endeavors. It talks about toiling for food to eat, but it reminds us that God never intended for us to pursue these endeavors on our own. In fact, whenever we do, our work becomes a tyranny instead of a partnership. Seeing our work, whatever it is, as a partnership between God and ourselves protects us from being obsessive about our work, becoming workaholics or arrogant. These flower boxes in front of my house didn't just spring out of the earth. I designed and built them, and then filled them with earth. I planted the flowers and watered them all through the summer drought. But that's about it. The earth and Earth Maker himself did the rest, creating the color and the life and the beauty. The seeds and the bulbs that will bring them back to life again next year is an annual miracle of nature. God works tirelessly so that we don't have to. The psalm says, "In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for God grants sleep to those He loves." This is not advocating laziness, but celebrating the gift of sleep as well as toil and the benefits of a healthy work-rest rhythm. Both are gifts from God. Proverbs 31 praises the noble woman who gets up at the crack of dawn and sometimes burns the midnight oil. Proverbs 31:15 to 18. But our psalm asserts that endless toil is ultimately futile and self-destructive. It is the illusion of the self-made high achiever who sacrifices inner peace for work and the temporal benefits it brings, money, recognition, and a kind of self-esteem. The world is full of stories of such people who discover sometimes too late that their wallets are full, but their souls are hollow. God calls us to work, and He commands us to rest, to Sabbath, which is a pause, to exchange labor for leisure, to recharge our physical batteries, and to express our gratitude to God for God's gifts of food and rest and strength and the large part of our productivity that comes not from our own efforts. Sabbath and sleep are ways we acknowledge that we depend on God for our success and our well-being. The last stanza of the song narrows the scope of labor from houses and cities and fields of work to life inside our homes. Especially there, we are reminded that God is the giver of life. Children are not our own creation. Oh yes, parents gaze in awe and wonder at their newborn infants that they created by the most natural of acts and by the sometimes hard labor of the mother. But pretty quickly they realize that they did not form those fingernails, or teach their infant to suckle, or smile, or coo. This precious life is mostly a gift, and as our psalm says, a blessing. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. Labor Day honors labor unions and the larger work of employment, but our psalm also highlights family life and homemaking as labor. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed are the parents whose quiver is full of them. Parenting is a huge gift and also a lot of hard work. True to its theme, our psalm doesn't focus on the work involved, but rather the rewarding experience that children can be. But the final line of the psalm reminds us that children need to be equipped to stand tall in a competitive world. The final verse says, "Your children will not be put to shame when they contend with their enemies in the city gate." The city gates were the intersection of public life, where commerce was conducted and decisions and contracts negotiated. Teaching the next generation to compete and collaborate and to contribute with honor is vital to a healthy labor market, to civic community, and for the kingdom of God on earth. My own kids are grown and engaged in their respective cities and professions, raising my grandkids to be contenders and contributors. In my retirement, Labor Day could be just another day. But I wanted to make this video to honor those who are working these days under challenging conditions in a pandemic world. Teachers who are trying to help children learn and grow and still stay safe. Political leaders who are working to shape public policy. Nurses and researchers like my two daughters who are on the front lines in every hour of their working day to help us get through this time of stress and danger. My wife is an environmental consultant with a specialty in wells and wellhead protection and safe drinking water. It's not a big leap from there to the reminder in this psalm that unless the Lord watches over the city and its water supply, the watchmen stand guard in vain. So, whatever work you are engaged in, remember that you are a co-laborer with the great initiator, the creator, the builder, the wisest teacher of them all, the most creative artist and architect in the world. This worker God is inviting you into partnership to work with Him to make this world a safer, more secure, more life-enhancing place. So, give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor for Him is never in vain. Take care.